Still not quite 7, so.
Pretty cool, yeah.
Are we still leave a treasurer's report and the operation manager?
Well, let's text Steve.
Only one of these between us. It's fine. No one wants to hear us anyway.
I'm not gonna say anything.
Steve is spelled with a PH that screws me up all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's late, isn't it? I think it was late.
I think so. Oh, I'm getting a little confused.
I know, I was too, because I missed it. I missed it. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
Meetings or not.
Same thing. Yeah, I know.
He doesn't give. He's gonna be crazy. And the baby sucks.
No way, really?
Oh, God.
That's a guy.
And
then
too easy. I think it was, which 1,860.
Yeah. I think he does. It's not right.
I think I got that right.
They're getting. Oh, 6:59.
All right.
All right, I'm going to call to order the May 2024 Municipal Authority meeting. We just returned from an executive session of the board to discuss pending legal matters. I'll take a roll call. Maria Kane here. Thomas Greco.
Yeah.
Walter Virginis.
Here.
Tim Kelly.
Here.
Steve Mackel.
Here.
Okay. At this point in time, could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
And to the republic for which stands one nation, under God,
indivisible, and
with
with liberty and justice for all. Okay, everybody's had a chance to review the agenda. May I have, okay, if so, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Motion from Steve,
Second.
second from Tim. All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Okay, at this point in time, I do see members of the public here. We'll take public comment now on agenda items only. Is there anybody here looking to make comments on agenda items? All right, in the past, we have, I know, I mean, if you want to sit through the whole meeting. if you'd like to go up to the podium and just state your name and your address and tell us what you're here.
Yeah, so I'm
to
Randy
discuss.
Schultz, and I see that I'm out.
Hey, Randy, I'm gonna put you here just because there's a microphone.
Okay,
Okay.
it was supposed to be on the agenda for the past two meetings and it didn't happen, so I just came to be sure it was on.
Okay,
And that has to do with the refund. It's item 10.2,
okay.
refund for Liseter Community Association. That's it. And if you had any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Did anybody have any questions on that one?
That was the
What
one
that was the
question,
one,
yeah.
okay. So, one,
The only,
Gather information now. Or
I mean, I'll stick around if you have
I
questions
think,
later.
I think it's gonna be a pretty quick meeting, especially where our operations manager is not gonna be providing a report or the financial, so we'll get to it pretty quick, I think, and I think it does make sense. Yeah, exactly. So if you don't mind, we'll just
Sure,
address
all
it.
right. Yeah.
But I appreciate you letting us know that you're here for that item. Anybody else? That's okay. Well, let's see what we're trying to help you. If it's something we can handle quickly now before we get underway, that way you could leave and you wouldn't have to sit through the whole meeting, but
Caitlin Boraldi, 4102 Battles Lane. I have questions regarding the sewer fees and the transparency into the increase from last year to this year and the anticipation of how much they will increase over the next 5 years. Because there is a notation that they will increase. But the infrastructure fee increased by 50% and the residential debt service fee increased by double. So I was just wondering if I could get some insight into that.
yeah, we did approve fees, and those increases. And again, they're all tied to what our actual costs are going to be to operate the system and to continue to maintain the existing system prior to expanding. What area are you in Newtown Square? Are you in?
The Echo Valley neighborhood?
Okay, so you have the new system.
Yes.
So, I don't have the document in front of me, but there is
I think,
a schedule that was approved by this board.
yeah, if we
so-
get Caitlin's information,
Yes.
we could either have, Steve contact you when he's available, or we might be able to track down the month that we approved the fees. Because I would suspect that with the backup documentation from that month's agenda, you might have a lot of your questions answered. too.
Okay.
So, why don't you, can you write down your email and
Yeah.
we'll do it that way?
Sure.
Yeah, and we'll get you
You
that. There was a fee schedule approved by the board, so it is,
Yeah.
it's actually a publicly available document.
I did try and look online and I could find last year's approved fees, but I couldn't find this year's.
Okay, well, you're certainly entitled to that, and I want to make sure that it's available to the public too, so, and readily accessible. So I'll follow up with Steve on that as well.
Yeah, I think what she might be looking for might not necessarily just be the fee schedule itself, but
Yes.
it's probably buried in the agenda packet from one of the meetings that was.
That's what I'm
discussed.
thinking,
Yeah.
and that should be a separate document that's published, on the
Thank you.
website. So, thank you for
Thank you.
bringing that to our
I
attention.
think we're gonna get another email. Yeah, no, from
Hi, I'm Chris Semino. I live in Green Country, 3 Harvey Lane. So I generally average about 1,000 gallons of water a month usage. So my bill averages around $33, $34, $35 a month. And so my quarterly sewer bill is now up to $94.20. So that's like 94% of my water bill is my sewer bill. And I think that's a little off
So your
balance,
water bill, you're saying is $34 a month,
right?
and your sewer bill, which is quarterly,
Right.
is about $94 a month.
Right. So it comes to, almost 90.
$4 a quarter.
$94 a quarter, I mean.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I'm sorry. Yeah, so it comes to like, I guess 92%, something like that,
Yeah,
of my my sewer bill's that much of my water bill. That just seems way too high.
You are,
Percentage-wise.
so just so you know, I mean, the majority of our fees, other than the fees that, sorry, what was your name? That Caitlin Borelli just brought up is that, the majority of our fees are conveyance fees, other than like the infrastructure fee and, the debt service to build out the new system, and the infrastructure fee is for, helping to restore and maintain, the older part of the township. So the lion's share of it, though, outside of those fees, is the conveyance. So we have no control over that. So as our flow goes out of Newtown Square, it goes to,
Well, depends on which
which
side. of-
side, he's in the green countryside, so he's on kind of this, north end,
RHM.
RHM. So, the RHM sewer, conveyance system is gonna charge us for whatever's going to them, and we just pass that on to the ratepayers.
And then Delcora charges them, right? So.
And then Delcora
Yeah,
charges.
fees are being passed on.
But it seems like the next increase will be more than my water bill, that's.
And again, a lot of that's out of our control. Delcora is a public board too. I mean, you can go to them.
Delcora and RHM are both public.
Yeah, so you could go to the RHM meetings and the Delcora meetings and ask, why are you charging, all these townships? And, there's several that they service. Why are these rates continuing to go up? So we just continue to pass that on to our ratepayers.
Okay, all right, thanks.
I'm Byard Anderson and I live at 6 Boot Road, surrounded by the Porsche dealership. And I probably need 10 minutes of your time. Is that?
Well, what is the issue?
Well, the issue is how I get connected up.
Okay, so you're not connected to the system at
That's
this point?
correct.
Okay, and, you're seeking to get connected?
Yes,
Okay. Dave, are you familiar with this particular homeowner?
Yes,
And have we addressed this issue in the past?
yes,
And, do we owe Mr. Anderson a response?
that depends on what Mr. Anderson is bringing to our attention at the meeting.
Okay, what is
so-
the issue tonight?
Just globally, let me give the authority kind of a little bit of a background. Mr. Anderson's property has frontage on Boot Road. He has an existing on-lot disposal system. Mr. Anderson came to us explaining that he has an easement through what is formerly the Porsche property out to Westchester Pike for future connection to sewer. As part of the public sewer connection, public sewer installation process, the authority put a lateral stub, a point of connection on Boot Road, not on Westchester Pike, because at that point, the easement wasn't confirmed. We explained to Mr. Anderson that if he does have an easement with Porsche, then he needs to approach the Porsche dealership or the owners of Porsche to somehow memorialize that. And if there's the ability for them during construction to extend a lateral stub, you would need to file an application for another Y off of the main. But then, with them being under construction, they may be able to work out that in tandem. If not, he could work with the Porsche to share the sewer lateral. They would just need an agreement for the portion that is shared. So I don't know if Mr.
Sounds like
Anderson has
there's-
anything different.
Sounds like there's 3 options then, but all of them are contingent upon Mr. Anderson working directly with Porsche.
Yes.
And what role do you think we can play in your communications with Porsche?
well, I have contacted them
Yeah,
and basically they have rejected the idea of there being a Y. They
okay,
said, because if we have a Y, it probably wouldn't work. Their engineer whose name I do not know,
Okay.
but their engineer took that position with them. They took that position with me. And as it was communicated to me that the head of the whole operation, and this is a conglomerate, not just the Porsche dealership, basically said that, you know, that guy made the decision, and I said, could I meet with that guy? And I was told he has more important things to do than that, which I can understand.
Okay.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but your property now is going to abut what used to be the old Porsche dealership is now going to be Ferrari.
Correct.
So Ferrari now is coming in with an application for public sewer connection that shows a manhole in their parking lot with connection to the lateral stub that was installed as part of the sewer project. That manhole could easily be configured to accommodate flow from Mr. Anderson's property or a connection from Mr. Anderson's property if the Ferrari / Porsche owner, whoever that is, agrees to allow him into that manhole and allows him to share that portion of the lateral. Now, my understanding is you still have a separate easement from that on their property or through their property to Westchester Pike.
Correct.
So you could construct a lateral through their property as it stands now. He would just need to construct another lateral stub off of the main because that was not put in as part of the sewer project. It was put in on Boot Road.
And that I'm assuming is more expensive.
No, it was less expensive than hooking
For
up
you
the Boot
to-
Road.
Yeah, he's
Okay, so
pretty.
why aren't we pursuing the easement then? I mean, that seems to me the best approach at this point.
I was told, but you'd have to look at the map. It's like, I was told that there is no stub where I would have to tie in. And that it's impossible to get
Who were
a
you
stub
told,
put in.
who were you told that by?
Both the guys that I got estimates from.
Okay, so what?
I don't know if that's
think
true or
since-
not,
Well,
but
since that's the better approach, my recommendation would be that Dave talk to the contractors that you got estimates from. So that we can confirm that what they're telling you is true. Okay, if that's the least costly approach and doesn't necessarily involve Porsche, other than the fact that you're gonna have to put them on notice that you're going to be utilizing the easement. My recommendation would be that of the two contractors that you talked to, I mean, I don't know if you want to start with one of them, but you need to send an email to Dave. Give them their contact information or forward an email to Dave and say, here's the contractor who told me that this was not possible.
Mhm.
And
but you're
then
saying it is possible.
we're saying it might be possible,
Okay,
okay?
well, that's
Because
an avenue I wanted to pursue.
yeah.
The other,
Am I right, Dave? It sounds like
Yeah.
this might be possible and that they may just be looking at it from.
Right,
you know,
it may be, and his circumstance is a little unique because he has basement service. So, and where his property sits off of Boot Road, the basement service to get into the lateral stub on Boot Road would be extremely deep. I think we're looking at maybe 16 feet in the ground.
yeah, that's
somewhere
the,
around
yeah. It's a nightmare.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
okay, so this might work. Maybe they just don't understand exactly what possibilities are.
yeah,
Okay.
the other avenue obviously would be a grinder pump to pump into the system on Boot Road, but I know in speaking with Mr. Anderson in the past, he didn't want to have a low pressure sewer. He would rather have a gravity.
Well, I'm not against either one.
Okay.
I basically, though, the whole thing, no matter where I go around my house, and I gotta go 180 degrees around my house to get to that tie-in, is a nightmare for a number of reasons, but you know, I can defer those reasons at the moment if you want me to pursue it.
Believe me, I understand that it's complicated and otherwise you wouldn't be here and.
Right.
Shoot me an
Frustrating,
email
but-
or give me a phone call and I'll schedule some time to,
Do you have your card?
yes, I do. I'll schedule some time to either meet with you with the contractors at your property or I'll give them a call as an initial first.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hmm.
I think that's it. Am I right? No.
Yep.
Yes, you're coming back later. Okay, I apologize. Mr. Schultz, right? Okay, we'll talk to you a little bit later. All right, moving on then. Everybody's had a chance to look at the minutes from our last meeting. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Steve. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Tom. All right, any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and the treasurer's report, I believe we're gonna defer that until next meeting unless,
I am on.
oh, Steve,
Hello.
good to see you.
Sorry, I was running a few minutes late.
No, you're fine.
You sleeping?
All right.
No, I
Steve.
was not sleeping.
That was Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
That wasn't-
What I will tell you on the treasurer's report, I don't have a full report at this time. We're working on getting documents ready for the audit. That's been our main focus.
Okay.
We have probably a little over half to 3/4 of the documents they want. In fact, I hope to send them another document tonight. We have 2 things that we're trying to tie back to, and then we'll probably pretty much have everything they need. There's a little bit of work to do on the capital. So they'll be starting, if they didn't start today, they'll be starting tomorrow on the town or on the municipal authority audit. In your packet, there was at least the bank balances versus the book balances, just give you an idea of where we stand. We've got about 11 million between our 2 operating funds and the 2 capital funds. And so those dollars are there. There's probably is some money that needs to be transferred out of SR3 that didn't get transferred yet, and I'll be doing that here shortly over to the capital. I did want to make note that on the finance side, we had a developer, Stony Knoll, who came in and instead of issuing a bond or a letter of credit, actually gave us cash. I believe it was like about $215,000 for the sewer work that needs to be done. They have to connect into the sewer line. And so there will be a bank account created for those dollars. It'll be a savings account. I met with the bank today to get that started, and they told me it'll take several days. I will be reaching out to those that are signers. I will assume it's all the same signers on the account as the other bank accounts that we have, but I just wanted you to be aware that I am doing that. And that's at their request, that it be a separate bank account.
Oh, okay. I was wondering.
I've done this on the township side several times. This is the first one I think we've had on the municipal authority side. But it's basically just a savings account with escrow dollars in it. And as they complete the work, they'll put in for requests to reduce just like they would to reduce the bond or reduce the line of credit. We will reduce the amount that we're holding, but we were holding cash for the developer.
Steve, Dave Porter.
Yeah, Dave.
If the bank has any particular release form that needs to be completed as part of that, will you let me know? Otherwise, I'll just complete the release spreadsheet, sign and seal it, and attach it to a cover letter as we have in the past for some of the township related releases. Yeah,
my understanding is what's going to happen is I'm going to go, and I don't think there's any specific release as I understand it. Basically what we'll do is we'll attach your release that you do with your letter and the engineer seal, and I will do a withdrawal, move it over to the cash account, the operating account, and we will write a check from the operating account.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
I just wanted everybody to be aware because you'll start seeing that as a separate account under the escrow area.
Okay. What are we gonna call it? Is it?
It'll be called developers escrow, or developers cash or financial. I'll come up with a nice title that'll be very clear what it is, but it'll list developers, financial security.
And it'll be a 79 fund instead of the 78 fund.
Anything else, Steve?
That's all I have on finances unless there's any questions from the board.
Questions from anybody? Okay,
I do want to make sure the board's aware that Yvonne, I think I told you last meeting that Yvonne resigned. If I did not, our finance director has resigned. So right now you're stuck with me as the operations manager and the person who's handling finance, but hopefully we will get somebody in that place soon.
have you put out any you know, are you seeking a replacement, and if so, in what form? You know,
For
through what
Yvonne?
format?
Yes,
Yeah, true.
we are seeking a replacement. I'm looking for a person who has hopefully some experience or at least a very strong accounting background.
Okay, and what methods are you using for that search?
We've put it out. We've put out ads in several different areas. You know, the typical Delaware County paper, which then goes to Monster, and you know, some of those, and then some of the financial places that do searches as well.
Okay, all right, well.
Right
Hopefully,
now, it's just really difficult. There's a lot of municipalities without a finance director.
get it. Okay. All right, at this stage, we'll move on to the engineer's report from Dave Porter.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick update, not a whole lot of action on the notice of termination side, other than there's one piece of information that I need to get to my team as far as wetland mitigation that was eliminated from the project. We did have contact with AP, who's the contractor that did the driveway construction. We reminded them that, you know, we're still holding a portion of their payment. And until we close out the NOT and they completely stabilize the site, that's not going to be addressed on the authority's agenda. So we did visit the site. There are a couple of small areas that need to be touched up. So that AP will return to the site to do some additional seeding in that area. And wanted to let the authority know that our survey crews have completed the field work on 4252 Westchester Pike, which is the one property that's sort of mid-block on Westchester Pike that was excluded from the ability to tie into the public sewer. So we're working on preparing a plan, looking at some alternatives and getting a lateral stub extended to service that property. We're continuing to work on getting some landscaper quotes. However, the feedback we've been getting is the job is just not of the scope that they're willing to commit to or give us pricing for. And that's related to the wetland replanting for the areas that have demise from deer browse and some other you know, plants that have just failed to establish. So that planting will be done into the fall planting season, but we're still going to work on getting some landscaper quotes for comparison as far as the level of effort that it will take for, you know, Newtown Public Works to assist in installing those replantings. I've also reached out to Evoqua again, and the gentleman did acknowledge that he had dropped the ball on providing me with our quote for their O&M for the bioxide odor control systems at the various pump stations. So he has promised that he will get that to me as soon as possible. And as soon as I get it, I'll forward it to Steve so we can have it as a placeholder for the next authority agenda. And I'll, you know, make sure I get it out to the authority members. French Road, we looked at a couple of different alternatives as far as adding structures to that sanitary sewer line. There's a couple of clean outs that are on the plan that survey was unable to get invert elevations for. We asked them to go back out and see if they can remove the sewer lateral caps on the clean outs to see if we can get invert elevations to make sure that we're, you know, a consistent grade between the two manholes So once I get that information, we'll add that to the plan and we'll get that rolled into the bid package for Westchester Pike. Authority fog program. Recall that there was a draft fat oil and grease ordinance and grease trap, I think it was an amendment that was circulated. I haven't seen anything beyond that initial discussion. However, to expand on that, the Luigi and Giovanni grease issue on St. Albans, recall that Andy Retchek, Newtown Codes Officer, Steve Neese and I had met with John D'Alessandro, the owner of Luigi and Giovanni, back in April. I set forth some milestones for them to hit, some action items that they needed to deliver to the authority. One of which is that they committed to hiring an MEP to evaluate their existing system within 2 weeks. They did not do that. I haven't heard anything. I sent a follow-up email to LNG, and he did confirm that he has retained an engineer. They are in the process of looking at the existing system and the surrounding area, and we'll have that engineer contact me as soon as possible. They did, however, provide the maintenance record for the grease trap cleanings, which was done the end of April. So they partially fulfilled their commitment, partially not, but I'm encouraged to see that, you know, if he says he retained an engineer and they reach out to me in the next, few days, then I'll take him for his word and we'll move on from there. Stony Knoll, the 17 lot subdivision, as Steve Neese mentioned, they have provided financial security in the form of cash. I had a pre-construction meeting with the contractor and developer on the 17th, and prior to that had reviewed their sanitary sewer submittals, product submittals for the low pressure sewer, and approved them, some of them with some clarification conditions, but for the most part, everything looks good. So they intend to start with their sanitary sewer installation. I think it's within the next 2 weeks, depending on weather and depending on how they allocate their crews, given the Memorial Day holiday. Ellis Preserve, we're ongoing with capacity consistency letters for their tenant fit outs. Liseter, as I mentioned previously, the as-built plans for phases 2, 3, and 4 are under review currently, and we should be in a position to recommend to the authority at the next meeting whether to accept them and establish a maintenance bond amount for those phases in connection with the dedication of those sewers. And the Ellis Preserve crane that is leaning, we have reached out to a couple of contractors, Blooming Glen and Benchmark Site Contractors, who are currently doing some work in the area. We're working on getting them scheduled to get out there and meet with us to go over some things. I also talked with our site inspector to see if he might be able to reach out to one of the other contractors is doing Westchester pipe work. JD Ekman or Wexcon are both pretty large contractors that could handle that type of work. So I'm waiting to hear back from him on that. And that concludes my engineer's report for this evening.
All right, does anybody have any questions for the engineer? We're okay. All right, thank you, Dave. All right, moving on. Steve, do you have a operations manager's report?
I have just a couple quick things. Obviously, you see in your packet the KBX report. I'm not going to go over that. Pretty much the things that are on it are pretty similar to what's been on in the past. A couple power failures that they responded to and alarms they went, and just their quarterly cleaning. Everything was pretty standard. And then the things that are still outstanding, Dave's already talked about pretty much. I would make note that the flows from RHM came in very similar to what they've been in the past. I don't see a lot of change there either. So I think we're kind of on
What
kind
came
of
in?
doing
I couldn't hear him.
the flows for RHM.
Oh, the flow for RHM, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's stayed pretty consistent. When we have rain, it's up about the same amount.
Yeah.
So we still have I&I issues that we need to keep an eye on and start figuring out how to address. And that'll be something that George and I are going to work on with Dave, probably over the next 6 months or so, starting to look at some of those things, see what we can start doing and coming up with some plans. We have some dollars in the budget to do some line evaluations and see if we can start doing those and see if there's minor fixes or if we need major fixes on those. The other thing that I have for you, if you're familiar with the piece of property that is off of Bishop Hollow Road, which is the property that looks like an L, if you look at it, it used to be the Springton Point I guess it was their leach field. There was 2 of them. One was off of Heather's Way or Heather, and the other one was off of Bishop Hollow here. We've had to go in. We had a couple trees that the neighbor complained about. We sent out the arborist. The arborist came in and looked at them, said they needed to come down. The public works team actually took them down because they were in danger of falling over onto the neighbor's property and potentially would have caused damage. At the same time, we determined that the neighbor was parking their vehicles on the lot or on the land, and was also the one neighbor behind it had actually put stuff on the land. So we have given them notice that they have done so. And as far as I understand, the parking has definitely stopped. I'm not sure if all the stuff that was next to the shed has been moved, but my understanding is part of it had been moved. And so we'll be following up on that. That's my report.
All right, thank you. All right, unless there's any questions for Steve, we'll move on to item number 9.1. Consider approving bills on check register A dated May 20, 2024, totaling $475,218.73. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Walter.
Second.
Second from Tim. Any questions or comments about that? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next, consider approving the $31,625 escrow release payment to Stephen D. Ottaviano at 419 Hempstead Road, Newtown Square, for completed work. Do I hear a motion? I'll make the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Tom. Any questions or comments regarding this one? Okay, this one was not a concern. Steve, any issues with this release that we should be aware of?
I believe Dave's agreed to this sign off. That's all I would want to verify.
Dave, you've signed off on this one?
Yeah, so this is related to a property transfer and connection to the public sewer as part of that agreement. Since the transaction was going to take place, well, since the connection was not going to take place before the transaction, they escrowed money to complete that. The public sewer connection permit was filed, it was installed properly, so it's fine to release it.
Great, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on. Consider approving a refund in the amount of $14,984.99 to Liseter Business Association at 3710 Liseter Road, Newtown Square, for duplicate sewer payment. Do I hear a motion?
This is the one question.
Okay. It's exactly what I was thinking, yeah.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Right, so I'll make the motion and then Steve will second the motion. All right, and Steve, do you want to lead off questions on this, or should we let Mr. Schultz come up and explain first? How would you prefer?
Sure. The only note that's in here, is a note that there was a debit account. This is from Denise Gabone. And there was a debit account for $4,984.99. They have a zero balance, and all that's listed is there was 2 payments made, 1-2 and 1-5 for 15,000 and change, total 30,301. That's the only information that we have on it, so I just had a question. on it.
Okay, I'll give you a little background. First,
Thank
so I'm Randy Schultz, and I chair the finance committee at Liseter. It's Community Association, not Business Association. As it's on the agenda.
All right, we're gonna make sure that that's taken care of.
We're not a business association.
We'll make that friendly amendment to it, if you could take care of that, Walter.
So
Okay.
last summer sometime, we received a bill for a little over $43,000. Which
Wait,
came.
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm slow sometimes. You received a bill,
A sewer bill
a sewer bill.
for over 43,000.
Okay, and this is the business, I'm
Community,
sorry, the community
right over
association.
here.
Yeah,
Think of it as an HOA.
It's
an
an
HOA.
HOA, yes.
okay.
So that came quite as a surprise to us. And
But this is for how much area? Like how many units?
there's 449 units.
Okay, so you got a bill for 43,000.
Well, the units get billed separately.
Okay, but
This
the
is-
association
This is
got
for the
billed.
association.
Okay, I'm just trying to get
Yeah.
it, but there are several hundred units there
That's correct.
that the association is overseeing. Okay,
Part- So we have I'll start with, we have a clubhouse, which is also tied in, has a sprinkler system.
okay,
Okay. So the bills, the bill came in covered back all the way back to 2016.
okay,
Now, I don't know where the ball was dropped, but we never got a bill until last summer. And that was this $43,000 bill for the very first time. And so, I think fingers were pointing back and forth as to who was responsible and why we didn't get it. I don't know. And, but we paid. So what we did is we paid $27,379 sometime in the fall.
well, how much was that again?
Total bill was
Yeah,
$43,146.44.
okay,
We made a payment, an initial payment of $27,379.43. And the reason we did that is because we were trying to figure out who is responsible, and we thought Toll Brothers was responsible for the earlier year. But we couldn't quite figure that out until, although may or may not participate, we didn't want to leave things hanging out. So we authorized an additional $15,000 and a couple $100 payment. And unfortunately, our management company made the payment twice,
oh, gotcha,
which resulted in the overpayment.
okay,
All right. Now, two things. One is I don't think we've received a bill since. Okay, so we don't mind not paying you, but we don't like surprises. So we would like to get an update as to where the account stands. Secondly, there is another line to our barn that we have on the property that we use for social functions. That and Denise is aware of that and is supposedly preparing a bill. But for our audit report, I actually got all of the aqua bills from back to 2017. And with the rates that Denise gave me, I calculated what the amount that I thought was due at the end of the year, end of last year, 2023, so that our auditors could reflect that in our financial statements. We have not been billed for that,
not been billed for
this other line,
the other line to the barn,
right?
gotcha, okay,
So I know Denise said that this is a couple months ago that she was going to be working on it, but just wanted to let you know that we have not received anything. And my estimate was that it was upwards of $5,400 for the prior years. So, you might want to look into that.
okay,
So,
appreciate it.
yeah, my only concern is that we're not receiving bills, or at least I don't believe we are, to the records that we have.
So it sounds like you should be receiving two bills.
at least.
at least. Because you have the,
We have two major facilities.
two
on the
major
property.
facilities
Yeah.
there. Okay,
There's a clubhouse and then there's a post office. I don't know if you've ever been in
yeah, I've
development.
been over.
And I think they're tied in to the
Okay.
to the 1 meter. And then the barn has a separate one. And the
Okay.
barn we haven't been built.
Gotcha.
Okay,
It's
but I
Mr.
don't think
Schultz,
we've
right?
received any bill in 2024 for the clubhouse.
Steve, do you have any explanation as to why they would not have received a bill for the
I don't,
entire?
I'm trying to look it up right now, but Mr. Schultz, it
Yes.
is Schultz, right? Yeah. You also have the, I'm going to call it the old farmhouse.
Yeah, the farmhouse, yes, that's another one.
Have you been getting a bill for that?
No.
Okay.
But I think there's something that needs to be done either with toll.
Yeah, toll may be
someone
paying that.
else, before we can start receiving bills on that, but it's not occupied. There's nothing being done there. We're actually renovating it right now
Right.
for occupancy. So I know that something's underway. I can't say that I know exactly what that is, but
Okay.
that will be a third line. Yes.
Other than the math issue involved, my other concern is that it sounds like there should be at least one other bill and maybe a third,
Eventually a third. right?
eventually a third, but at least one other one is outstanding and they double paid this payment.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so we're requesting a refund for the overpayment, but we'd also like to request that we get billed periodically.
Right.
You should be billed
Is that your
periodically. I will
recommended
follow up on
approach?
that.
This is crazy.
Steve, is it your recommendation that we refund the overpayment for the one line?
That was my understanding, yes, and that's why it's on your agenda tonight.
Okay,
I was unaware that we had something that wasn't being billed, but I will deal with that separately.
okay. And now on the math, Steve, you
Right.
said that it didn't look accurate to you.
So Steve, the payments that are listed on the sheet in handwriting said payment 1/2/24 for 15,124.25, and then a payment on 1/5/24 for 15,177.19. I'm trying to understand where the 14,984 refund would come from those payments.
Sure,
Yeah.
yes.
And this was my calculation of what you have to build.
Let's take a look.
You can have that.
Okay, we appreciate.
This is, here are the billings going back to prior years. Here are the payments that were made. Forget how that one was. I don't have dates, I'm sorry.
So here's these two numbers that we're looking at,
Right.
if those are accurate.
Yeah, I got them.
I think my understanding is that there was some other billings that were the 215,000s were not only applied to what was owed, but then also that's what left the 14,984. Is that I think it's my understanding.
But that has nothing.
No, I saw that.
Right.
in my
My
notes.
own calculation.
Gotcha.
We don't know what it's gonna be,
We
but
don't.
you're guesstimating for the
I got
auditor.
all the aqua bills at your rate.
You're lucky to have you over there.
I'm CPA.
Maybe get your job.
Can he come to my house and?
I'd take your job if I could do it part.
So now I'm getting it, it looks like because of these, we didn't have this information.
Yeah, that's what I didn't
Okay.
understand.
And Steve, are you confident with the number that, I guess Denise had given to you? And because given what Mr. Schultz is showing us here, there was some other payments involved, and that's why we couldn't quite come up with the 14,984 until now.
Based on what they had shared with me, I asked, this goes back a little ways. This was actually when Yvonne was still here. I had asked Yvonne to review it. She came back and said, yes, the number was correct. And after I did a very cursory review, it appeared that I understood where the number was coming from. It was because there was a different additional charges that came in after the second payment was made.
I don't know, those may have come in before, actually. When were these made?
This was made in the fall sometime.
Okay.
This was, you mentioned the two payments, it was like January.
Oh, yeah,
2nd.
January.
second.
Yeah, they were
Yeah,
right
yeah,
after
yeah.
one another, which makes,
They,
yeah, which makes total sense. Okay,
chastised.
right. And this is and I'm assuming this is the actual build.
Right,
amount,
so
Right.
Denise provided me with a printout
Mhm.
and I put it.
Okay.
Mr.
Right.
Schultz, and
Do
the
you want
initial,
to use that? Just gonna have to say that,
Sure.
because so we're taking this number and
Yep.
minusing those, making sure that we get to,
Yep.
just.
I'm sorry, the initial.
I'm not getting the
invoice
confidence here. that Steve has the opportunity to do the math, so we're just gonna take a quick look at this.
Yeah,
It all looks good, Mr. Schultz, but we'll
It's a
just take a
different
quick look
number.
at it and then we'll go ahead and vote on it. We really appreciate you sharing that information. Just checking your math.
Part-time hours are from 8 to 4 daily.
In my old job, those were part-time.
I, well aware.
Yeah. Not anymore, right?
He's more than welcome to.
It should be good.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, but I don't have.
14,984.99. That's right.
All right. All right. So we have the motion that's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you, Mr. Schultz. I mean, you're welcome to stay if you like, but we are. Uh, All right, next, moving on, consider approving a refund in the amount of $2,598.99 to Bonnie Malumed at 3737 Rosemont Pass, Newtown Square for duplicate sewer payments. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. Second.
Second from Tim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, moving on, consider approving a refund in the amount of $1,774.84 to Newtown Square East at 20 North Newtown Street Road, Newtown Square for duplicate sewer payment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Steve.
Second.
Second from Walter. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are members of the members of the public have now disbanded. There's nobody left, so there's no public comment. Anything else for the good of the order? If not, I adjourn this meeting. Right.
Nicely done.
Holy crow. We're done.
Thank you all.
Yeah. That's the members of the public here, and some comments?
Yeah.
I can bring the phones in.